now, please.
Okay, I got to know Gary pretty well, I guess about 4 years ago at the golf tournament, Chick-fil-A golf tournament. And like he said, in the 4 years, Sterling and I have won it a couple of times, came in third last year. And I think first prize was 120 grand. A couple of times it goes to the athletic department or the general fund. General Scholarship Fund. And I really believe Chick-fil-A gives more money back to the universities here in the South than any company I know of. So they do a super job, and we, started talking with Gary. Said, "Love to have you in our bowl game." And I said, "We'd love to be there someday if it works out." And fortunately, it worked out. And sort of ironically, the team that won it last year was Jimbo Fisher and Terrell Buckley, FSU. So we get to play the champ of the golf tournament, Chick-fil-A, last year. But anyway, it should be a heck of a matchup. We're excited. We didn't play our best last time in that Georgia Dome. And we're going to try to see if we can compete and look like a first-class team the way we were most of this season. So we're looking forward to coming back in there and showing how to play football like we did here at South Carolina the entire season. But we're fired up about it. FSU is a very good team, almost the exact year they had that we had. 9-4, they lost their conference championship game, and they feel like they're on the way back to being what Florida State used to be in the 90s there and so forth. And Jimbo Fisher's a heck of a coach, good guy. I've got to know him a little bit the last several years. And our coaching background is very similar. Quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, he calls the plays, runs the show, and so forth. So got a lot of respect for Jimbo and what they've been able to do there in Tallahassee this past year. But again, looking forward to my first Chick-fil-A Bowl, and this is one of the best ones in the country. And hopefully we'll go in there and play our best game of the year.
Thanks for that, Coach. All right, at this time, we do have a few minutes to take questions from the media, so go ahead and we'll invite those now. If you will, raise your hand. Brian, I'll get you the microphone.
Coach, are you happy that ticket sales are up, and it looks like you may have a lot more Gamecock fans down in the Dome than maybe last time in the SEC championship game?
Okay, yeah, we're happy to have 50-50 or whatever, but sometimes that championship game gets tilted because usually the Alabama fans buy them during the summer. I think Alabama and Florida fans bought them during the summer, and maybe the Auburn people are a little quicker jumping on those Alabama, Florida people than we were. But that wasn't our problem. That wasn't our problem in the game. But we're fired up that our fans. Easy driving distance to Atlanta. Hopefully stay a few days if they can. But also Atlanta's a big-time recruiting area, not only for us, almost every school in the South, because there are so many high school players in the area. So it'll be an opportunity for both schools to sort of show who we are.
Coach, have you started studying the Florida State defense? And if so, what's your evaluation, and what's going to be the first day of bowl practice?
I've watched just a little bit of their defense, not a lot yet. Our coaches have sort of been out on the road recruiting. We're during finals right here. But we'll round up next Wednesday and start practice Thursday here for bowl practice.
Any other questions?
But they are a good team. I also read where they lead the nation in sacks. And I think we're third or fourth, something like that. So a good defensive line, a lot of good athletes on that Florida State team, as you would imagine. I don't know the status of their quarterback. Christian Ponder, had some fluid on his elbow that has bothered him. He did not play in the championship game. So I read where Jimbo Fisher said he's still questionable, and find out as they go through the month, I guess.
Any other questions? Anybody at all? Last chance?
If I can, one thing I would like to say is that from a Chick-fil-A Bowl perspective, as I said, we're not the national championship game, but we do everything like a national championship game. And for us to have the opportunity not only to have South Carolina, but someone like Coach Spurrier, who has changed not only the SEC conference, but a lot in college football, means a lot to us to have Steve Spurrier in our game. So we're awfully proud to have that opportunity. Thrilled to have As Coach said, both Jimbo Fisher and Steve Spurrier, two of the best offensive minds in college football in our game. There's a lot of good storylines on our game, and we know it's going to be an exciting time. But just want to mention that because we pay homage to Coach Spurrier and what he's done for all of college football. And as we move forward building the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta, it's important to recognize people like Steve, who's a Heisman Trophy winner and College Football Hall of Famer.
Well, thank you, Gary. Appreciate that. For a minute, I thought you was going to say two of the best golfers in college. We had good partners.
We may have a golf tournament break out at Eastlake.
Jimbo and I had two good partners in that tournament, that's for sure, and it is a team event there at Chick-fil-A, and that's what football is. It's a team sport, sort of like that golf tournament is also. But anyway, I appreciate those kind words.
Coach Spurrier, if I could ask you, during this period that you have before the game, and you've coached in many ball games, what are some of the things that you can take advantage of during this period before the game against Florida State? Obviously, you have an extended period of time between now and then. And if I may ask you a second part question, Coach, you did talk about recruiting and showcasing the team. With some teams in flux in our area, Miami, Florida, etc., making coaching changes, is this a unique opportunity for South Carolina to
Well, actually, most all recruiting is almost over. Most of the players out there have made their commitments, so there's just a few still out there. So I don't know how big a deal that would be, but certainly every time you win, every time you do well, it helps your university, your football program, and so forth. I heard a coach the other night ask about how do you handle a month between games, and what you try to do, you can't practice too much, and you don't want to practice too little. So you try to find the right balance, and that's what we're going to try to find. We'll practice a little over 2 weeks on and off with the break there at Christmas, and do it a little bit like I've done it in the past. Although we're going to do some things different this trip as far as bowl preparation. I don't want to get into all the details, but it'll be a little different than what we've done in the past around here, because obviously whatever the heck we've done hasn't worked very well the last 2 years. I think I know why, but we'll do some things differently.
Coach, do you see a lot of similarities between your team and FSU? Obviously, two teams that made it to their respective conference championships and almost similar records this year.
I hadn't watched them a whole bunch, but I know they won 9, lost 4, just like we have. They won their division. They got beat in the championship game, so that's about all I know. And I know they lead the nation in sacks, so they got some pass rushing guys up front. So, but other than that, not a whole lot of detail got into. They've won some close games. They played a lot of close ones. So hopefully we can get in a good close game with them, and hopefully the Gamecocks can prevail.
This is actually for Gary. Were you kind of salivating when Gamecocks were being bypassed for other bowls? And you took a look at that and like, wow, this is a great opportunity for us to snag this team.
Well, we always salivate when South Carolina is mentioned, not only because of what I said about Coach Spurrier, but Eric and the organization that he runs here at South Carolina, and obviously the fan base, which is so passionate. I've been coming over here for years scouting South Carolina, as Art can probably tell the story better than I can. And we always talk about South Carolina when it gets in the beginning of the season, throughout the season, and it just seemed to work out this year. And we're glad because we've got South Carolina in a ranked team. They won their division, and certainly that's the best time to get somebody in your bowl game. So yeah, we typically always want South Carolina in our mix, and we're glad that Coach Spurrier has got South Carolina to the top of the East, and hopefully they stay there because it's good for college football. It's good for the bowls as well.
Any other questions? Just a couple of notes for the media. Today is actually our credential deadline. If you have not had a chance to make your credential request yet, please do so today at your first opportunity. You can do that through the press box section of our website. And then following the press conference, I know Gary will make him available for some one-on-ones if there's a request for that. With that,
I want to talk to Coach, not me.
Coach may have a minute or two as well. If there are any last chance for questions, anybody?